Hey guys, welcome back to Human Condition. This video is another video in our biology brain chemical series. You guys seem to really like this series. So this one is, what is serotonin and what makes us happy? This should be a pretty interesting one. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter in most regulating things. So the best way I can put it is like serotonin personified would be like the friend who's like the caretaker of the group, like the parent of the group. Basically, serotonin is the brain chemical that regulates all other brain chemicals when I was researching it. So it helps regulate dopamine, oxytocin, cortisol, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on how it impacts all those. However, there's 5 main topics I'll talk about how serotonin influences. And influences are mood regulation, our cognitive function, uh, our sleep-wake cycle, our social behavior, and our appetite and libido. So yeah, it's a pretty impactful, one of the most probably important, they're all important, but one of the most important brain chemicals, that and dopamine. So yeah, number one, first key topic out of the 5 is mood regulation. Serotonin helps mainly regulate all the brain chemicals. However, it regulates the most dopamine. So serotonin and dopamine have like a kind of like opposite brain chemicals. Serotonin increases usually decreases dopamine, and dopamine increase usually decreases serotonin. When I was researching it, and basically what happens is serotonin is like the content of feeling presents feelings of contentment, whereas dopamine presents feelings of instant gratification and happiness. So dopamine helps motivate us to do things, but serotonin helps us actually enjoy things, at least in my opinion, if I understand that correctly. So dopamine, high levels of dopamine will decrease serotonin because it makes us look more impulsive and more like goal driven and more action oriented. High levels of serotonin is positive because it regulates it, but it can cause us to be less action oriented uh, and less goal directed, I guess, potentially. So that's kind of how it affects our mood. Normal average levels of serotonin can make us feel overall just content and happy, whereas dopamine can make us feel happy in the moment. Kind of different, I guess. I guess serotonin's more like the long-term happiness, whereas dopamine's the short-term happiness. So that's kind of its impact on our mood regulation. It kind of helps us stay calm and not get too carried away, but also be content and enjoy life, I guess. Whereas dopamine motivates us to take action and have fun. The next one would be cognitive function. When I was researching it, apparently I didn't know this, but serotonin has a very big impact on how we learn and our cognitive functions and like memory, decision making, and learning. So with serotonin, it helps us. Whereas last video we talked about vasopressin and how vasopressin is social memory, serotonin's like overall all memory. So vasopressin helped us with like remembering names, like we talked about in last video. Serotonin helps us remember just things in general, which I think is kind of cool. Helps us remember like almost all like things we have to remember, like school related, etc. I guess. So that's pretty interesting how it affects that. Memory. And decision making, like because it's I guess this is my theory, I could be wrong. Since it's the brain chemical of contentment, being content, it helps us take a step back and make rational decisions, I guess. Like whereas dopamine makes us impulsive and like make us chase like feel good in the moment goals. Serotonin helps us with like thinking deeply and making decisions that will help us in the long run, I guess. So that's its impact on our cognitive functions. It helps us with overall a lot of memory, learning, and memory, and just good decision making. Its impact on social behavior. This is probably one of the coolest parts. When I was researching it, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Uh, Higher levels of serotonin is like released, linked to lower levels of dopamine, but there's like, as long as when I was researching it, it said potentially higher levels of serotonin can also increase oxytocin and vasopressin, which are two opposite, kind of opposite brain chemicals that we talked about last video. And I guess this kind of makes sense because if serotonin is released to contentment, vasopressin can make us defensive occasionally, but it also can make us want to reach out and meet new people, and helps with social recognition. So when we're content, we might be more motivated. This is me theorizing. When we're content, we might be more motivated to reach out to new people, and remember things from social interactions, and reach out to new people. As well as when we're content, oxytocin, the love hormone, we might feel closer to the ones we care about. So which is pretty wholesome. So serotonin can help increase oxytocin, which makes us feel closer to people, and it can also increase our defensiveness and like potentially aggression, but more so our desire to meet new people and have social interactions. Conversely, it's cool that cortisol, the stress hormone, is linked with dopamine. So it's like kind of two opposites battling out, serotonin, oxytocin, vasopressin versus dopamine and cortisol. At least in my opinion. Could be wrong about that. Dopamine and cortisol has a link, so higher levels of dopamine can, I guess, be associated with good stress, like getting things done. And stressful situations can be linked with dopamine and cortisol increase because higher levels of stress, you might want to feel good, need it like to feel good as well to get something done. So higher levels of cortisol might potentially release dopamine. High levels of dopamine, feeling good, might release the cortisol, like a good stress to get things done. So I thought that was pretty cool. Appetite, since serotonin's the overall like regulation, help us regulate things. With appetite, it helps us suppress our hunger and make dopamine releases when we want to, is probably more like motivates us to eat, whereas serotonin helps us not overeat, I guess. So serotonin would help us make good decisions, I guess, eating potentially, and it can help and decrease our appetite and make us feel full. It helps. It releases in the gut, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that, but some serotonin releases in the mind, but other serotonin releases in the gut. And then finally, serotonin's impact on our libido. It's a regulation hormone, so usually it decreases libido, whereas dopamine will increase our libido. So yeah, also sorry if I talked a little too fast in this video. I was really interested in this one, and if I talk fast, I feel like I can remember all of it quickly, but if I talk slow, I might forget, and then I'll have to re-edit the video. So hopefully I didn't talk too fast. Sorry if I talked a little too fast in this video. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is what is serotonin and what makes us happy. In conclusion, serotonin is an awesome brain chemical associated with feeling overall content in life, and can help us be content. It helps us make rational decisions, good decisions for long-term, positive, good decisions. Helps us regulate, and it's overall helps us with our memory and overall regulation in our day-to-day life. So yeah, as always, thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe if you want. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.